Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my April TBR. April's a very exciting month. April is the return of the magical readathon hosted by G over at Book Roast. I will leave her announcement and her channel linked down below. This is a huge, fantastic world that G has created. She's written all this lore. She's made all of these different guilds and different types of places, an entire world, all this magical stories that go into this readathon. It is so much work and so much dedication, and I really applaud G for it, but it makes this readathon so much fun. This readathon is centered around the world of Orillium, and specifically Orillium Academy. You are going on a quest to get to Orillium Academy and take your classes to become a certain, to be able to claim your calling, which is like your magical career. Back in September of 2021, everybody participated in the Novice's Path, which was a path to get to Orillium itself in order to get to the academy. Along the way, you also created your character based on where they were from, what race they were, what class they were, and their special abilities. And then last month in March, it was the Orillium Gear Up. So you were choosing your conduit, the magical item that you use to perform magic, and then also your legacy, which is based on whichever guild you got into during the Novice's Path. So there's a lot of lore, a lot of different stuff. I'll leave the links again for everything down below. But this is the actual start of the semester and I'm very excited about it. I'm going to be very ambitious and I am actually going to be participating in 2 of the callings exams. I'm going to go for 2 different callings because they're 2 that I really enjoyed and I didn't want to have to choose between. And I'm super excited about it. It's made my TBR almost perfect size for what I've been reading lately, and let's just get into it. So the first calling that I'm going to be going for is the Moon Wardens, which is kind of a astrology and elemental kind of based career. I'm very excited about it. For that calling, I have to take 5 exams during the spring equinox, April. Each exam correlates to a different reading prompt, and then come the autumn equinox in August, you will be going for certain levels, certain grades, and that requires you to read more than 1 book in each class. So it gets a bit harder in August, but this is where we start. So for Moon Wardens, the first class that I have to take is Elemental, which is to read a book under 100 pages. This one was so hard for me to choose from because there are so many books that I want to read that are like just over 100 pages. But I managed to choose one that's actually been on my TBR for quite a while. So the first book that I'm going to be reading is Hear the World Entire by Anwen Kaya Hayward. This is a short story novella that I'm going to be reading through ebook because I don't think you can get a physical copy of it. I'm not quite sure. But regardless, it is a short novella that is retelling the story of Medusa. I've heard this recommended by Jean over at Jean's Bookish Thoughts, and I have been wanting to read it ever since I heard her talk about it. She is the booktube queen of mythology, so I 100% trust her recommendations, and I've always wanted to read a really good Medusa retelling, so I think this is the perfect time to get into it. It's only 83 pages, so it fits the prompt, and it is perfect timing. The next class that I have to take for the Moon Warden's Calling is The Art of Illusion, and that is reading prompt is to read a book with a A+ trope, or one of your favorite tropes. For that, I'm going to be reading The Princess Trap by Talia Hibbert. I am so excited to read this. This is my first Talia Hibbert, no, that's a lie, my first full-length Talia Hibbert that I've read since I devoured her Brown Sisters trilogy multiple times. This is following 2 main characters, Cherry and Reuben. Cherry is flirty, and done with men. As far as she can tell, they are overrated, overpaid, and underperforming in every area of life. But a girl has needs, and the smoking hot stranger she just met at the office seems like the perfect one-night stand. Prince Reuben of Helgmore is reckless, dominant, and famously filthy. The outcast royal is rebuilding his reputation, all for a good cause, but he can't resist a pretty face. Basically, it is like fake dating, or fake engagement, actually. It's got royals, it has a amazing plus-size main character, and I was so excited for this. Most of these tropes were solidified as my favorite through the Alyssa Cole Reluctant Royal series, which I really want to reread again very soon as well. I read it in its entirety this time last year, so I've been dying to read it again. But I'm so excited about this. I love Talia Hibbert's writing so much. She is one of my all-time favorite authors. She is my favorite romance author of all time, and I'm so excited to get to this. I can't wait. It's gonna be so good. Next up, the next class that I have to take for the Moon Warden's Calling is Spells and Incantations, and for that one you have to read a collection of short stories or essays. For this, I've had this on my TBR since 2 years ago on my birthday. I've had this since my 25th birthday, or my 24th actually. I might have had this for a very long time. But this is Angela Carter's book of fairy tales. So this is a collection of fairy tales retold and some original new fairy tales by the queen that was Angela Carter. Angela Carter was a very well-known British feminist writer. Her short story collection, The Bloody Chamber, is one of her most famous works and one of my absolute favorites, and this is no exception. I'm going to be so excited for this. It's going to be spooky, it's going to be creepy, and I absolutely can't wait. It's thick, but I think if I take this slowly, I can read this during the month of April, and I'm so excited. This edition is one of my favorites. This is another book that I got on suggestion from Jean. And again, I love Angela Carter's writing ever since I encountered her in my undergrad, and it is going to be so much fun. The Company of Wolves is my all-time favorite Angela Carter short story. It's like a Little Red Riding Hood retelling, but The Bloody Chamber takes a very close second, and I know just from her incredible grasp on fairy tales that this is going to be such a rich and beautiful collection. I absolutely can't wait. The next class that I have to take for Moon Wardens is Astronomy, and for that we have to read a book that's on the top of your TBR. My TBR is massive, so there are quite a few that are on the top of my TBR. This next book is also going to be the first book I'm reading for the other calling that I'm going for, which is the Spellweaver, which is basically the writer, which is perfect because I want to be a writer myself and I am a writer. So it's the perfect one. I had to pick it. It was necessary. And so yeah, I'm very excited. This is going to be fulfilling the first prompt for Spellweavers as well, which is lore, and that is a book featuring mythology of some kind. So for both top of the TBR and featuring mythology, I'm going to be reading Daughters of Sparta by Claire Haywood. This I picked up last summer. It is another ancient Greek myth retelling told from the point of view of one of the women. This is retelling the Trojan War, basically, but it's from the point of view of both Helen and Clytemnestra, the two sisters, Helen of which is the main, I don't want to say the main cause because she didn't really do anything, but Helen is the main woman at the center of the Trojan War. And I'm very excited about this. I think I've heard amazing things about it. I love a good Greek myth retelling. It's one of my absolute favorite types of books, and I'm very excited to see Claire Haywood's take on this. Again, I've heard amazing things, and look at this cover, it's stunning. I'm very excited. It's going to be the month of Greek myth, I think, for me. Next up is the last book I'm going to be reading for the Moon Wardens, which is going to be fulfilling the prompt for Restoration, which is a book featuring healers. It's also going to be my second prompt for Spellweavers, which is to take the class of Inscription, which is an intimidating read. For both those prompts, I'm going to be reading The Firekeepers Daughter by Angeline Boulley. This is also my book club's pick for the month of April, and I'm so excited to get to this. I've had this on my TBR for quite a while, but when we decided we were going to read it this year for book club, I decided to save it. This tells the story of Donis, who is an 18-year-old Ojibwe girl. This follows Donis as she is looking forward to a fresh start in college. However, she ends up meeting the new recruit to her brother Levi's hockey team, Jamie. She starts to realize that she is falling for Jamie, but at the same time that she finds out that there's some secrets that he is hiding, and around this time Donis actually witnesses a murder. Due to her knowledge of chemistry and also Ojibwe traditional healing medicine, she is asked to go undercover to help solve this case. So it is a YA mystery thriller filled with Indigenous representation, and I'm so excited. My friend Coley is obsessed with this book, so she was the one who chose to pick it, and I am so excited to read this and see how it goes. Again, it looks like it's a Reese's book club for YA pick, but I've heard nothing but good things about this, and I absolutely cannot wait. That was the last pick for the Moon Warden's syllabus for the Magical Readathon, and so now the next couple books are going to be fulfilling the rest of the prompts for the Spellweavers. The first of those is going to be the class of Psionics and Divination, and therefore I have to read a book set in the future. It is also going to count for my audiobook pick for the month. I'm going to be listening to A Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers. This book I've seen periodically in the last couple of years. I believe it came out in 2019, I want to say. I don't know. I shouldn't be saying this. I don't know when it came out. But this is a young adult, I believe, sci-fi following two main characters, I guess you could say. It is set in a world where it is hundreds of years after the robots of this world laid down all of their tools and wandered off into the woods after coming to a moment of self-realization. A tea monk randomly has their world upended when one of the robots comes out of the woods and asks the question, what does humankind need? And they cannot go back into the woods until that question has been fulfilled. So it looks like a really cool rumination on like what makes humanity. I'm really excited about it. I think the audiobook is going to be really stunning, and I think this is a sci-fi that I can really get into. I have like a weird track record with sci-fi, which is why I struggled to find a book for this prompt, but I think it's going to be a really interesting take and a really like philosophical one, if you can even say that. I'm very excited to get to it, and it's going to be my audiobook for the month. Finally, the last prompt that I have to fulfill for the Spellweaver's Calling is actually the same as another prompt for Moon Wardens, which is the Art of Illusion. For this, I have to read another book with an A+ trait. For this prompt, I'm going to be reading Read Between the Lines by Rachel Lacey. I saw this book on Jan's Instagram, and it looks perfect. It is a adult contemporary romance featuring a sapphic relationship, enemies to lovers, and mistaken identity. I am so excited about this. It follows two main characters. The first is Rosie, who is the owner of her mother's beloved Manhattan bookstore. The only thing she is missing is some romance, but she has struck up a online relationship with one of her favorite sapphic book writers, who goes by the pen name Bree. And they struck up this relationship online without ever having met. Our other main character is Jane Breslin, who is separating her personal from her professional life. During the day, she works with her family's property development business, but by night she writes steamy sapphic romances and has created an incredible relationship with an all-time fan. Rosie learns that her bookstore's lease is being terminated by Jane's family, who are the ones that own the property. The two of them butt heads. The two of them have always butted heads and seem to hate each other, but then sparks obviously start to fly, and hopefully they will find out that they are the ones that they have been having this online romance with. I'm so excited about this. It seems super cute and fluffy. It's got a lot of my favorite tropes like enemies to lovers, mistaken identity. It's sapphic, and I just can't wait to have more sapphic romance in my life. It's going to be super fun time, and I can't wait to dive into it very soon. Next up are my last two books for the month of April, at least for my TBR. These are to fulfill some of my own personal goals again. Or sorry, the next three books. The first one is I'm going to be reading the second volume of Death Note. I have had this on my shelf for years. I've read the first volume. I haven't read the second one yet. I just realized that the other day. And so I'm determined to read the second volume. If you guys don't know this, I believe this came first, but there's also a anime TV show also following the same storyline that I saw first before I read the manga. But basically this follows our main character Light, who one day comes across a Shinigami, which is a Japanese death god, and ends up picking up his death note, which is his notebook that if you write somebody's name, the date, and the method of death, they will immediately die on that time. Light decides to become a vigilante, basically. As soon as he sees somebody do something bad on the news or wherever, he will find out their details and he will put them in the death note, and it follows the investigation. Light is on this mission to rid the world of evil, but obviously there is a sense of corruption happening within him. And it's an incredible story. I really love the manga and I really love the TV show, so I'm excited to finish this volume and continue with the rest of them as soon as I finish this. I'm very excited. It's going to fulfill my personal goal to read a graphic novel or manga, one per month, so I'm excited about that. Next up is going to be another audiobook. I'm going to be listening to the audiobook Between the World and Me by Tanese Coates. This is a nonfiction memoir written as a letter from Coates to his young son, detailing his life and his experiences as a Black man living in America, and details a lot of history about Black lives in America and how they've been treated between racism, police brutality, slavery, and all of these other horrific things, both past and in present day. And the Coates is grappling with his understanding of his place in the world, and dealing with telling these stories to his son and looking forward to what his son is going to be living like again as a Black man in America. I'm very excited about this. I've heard amazing things about it. I love listening to memoirs, especially when they're narrated by the author themselves. I love listening to nonfiction, and I think this is going to be another one to add to my collection of fantastic nonfiction memoirs. I'm very excited about it, and it's going to be a good time. Or, it's going to be a fantastic listen. I don't know if it's going to be a good time. Finally, the last book that I'm going to be reading for the month of April is going to fulfill both the Literally Dead book club pick for the month and my buzzword pick for the month, which you have to choose a book with either big or little, and there are variations in the title. And that is going to be All Her Little Secrets by Wanda W. Morris. This is a kind of workplace thriller that follows our main character, Ellis Littlejohn, who is a corporate executive. She is a attorney in Midtown Atlanta with a great flirtationship kind of with her white boss until she comes to work one morning and finds him dead from a gunshot wound. She ends up leaving and not reporting it just because she has secrets of her own that she doesn't want to get dredged up in the investigation. But then she ends up getting promoted into his job, the only Black attorney at this practice. She ends up in this great moral and ethical dilemma as she's learning these secrets that this company has and finding out more about the murder of her boss. I'm super excited about this. Again, I love a good thriller, and I'm really hoping this is going to go better than The Paris Apartment because I didn't really enjoy that, but you'll hear more about that in my wrap-up. I'm excited about this. It sounds really great, and I can't wait to read it.
Hi everybody, so I was just editing my TBR, and I just realized that I forgot to mention what these books are going to count for Realmathon. So Realmathon is another readathon hosted by Cassidy. I'll leave all of her links down below. This is another kind of like D&D style magical readathon. It goes for the month of April. You select a location that you want to be pledging your allegiance to, and then as you read your books, you can either attack a neighboring nation, and each prompt that you fulfill has a certain number of points that you can deduct from them, or you can increase your own nation's points through your prompts. So I just went through my TBR and I wrote down all of the prompts that I think will fit for the books that I've already chosen. This is one where I was planning already on going through kind of slowly and taking my time with, and just deciding as I go. As I pick a book, I will assign a prompt to it. So none of these are like set in stone, but basically for Hear the World Entire, it will count as reading a book in one sitting because it's only 83 pages. That will give me 3 points. Count as make a technological advance because I'm reading an ebook, so it'll be another point gained for my team. For example, Angela Carter's Book of Fairy Tales is a TBR veteran. It's been on my TBR for quite a while, so it will decrease 3 points from a neighboring team. I just have to choose. That gets the idea. So I just wanted to come on here and mention that. I'm going to be pledging my allegiance to the Realm of Bale, which is kind of like whimsical kind of reads. And the genre recommendation for that is fantasy romance. The team captains are Becca and Mel. Again, I'll leave their links down below. And so I also will get bonus points if I read either their recommendations for the readathon or other fantasy romance. So I'm very excited about it. It's going to be a fun time. I had to pick the whimsical forest setting because obviously. But I think that combined with magical readathon is going to make this month such a fun time. So I just wanted to throw that in there right now as a little addendum because I can't believe I forgot to mention it.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up because it really helps support my channel, and let me know down in the comments below if you're participating in Magical Readathon, what calling you've chosen, or if you are reading any of the books that I mentioned on this TBR. If you're new here, please subscribe. I put out new bookish and writing videos every week, and I hope you guys have a lovely day. Bye-bye.